And let's get this series underway. Spawning down here in the bottom right side of Romanticide to start things off. Give it up for Team Liquid's Clem. And his opponent in the top left side. Give it up for Haas. So this is going to be a pretty interesting one. It's kind of a straight up player. Clem is very good at the macro game, and he's very good at kind of just these long drawn out situations versus a guy who I don't think really likes it when a game goes over the 5 to 6 minutes. That's not saying that he can't play the late game, but I think he much rather prefers not to. And I can kind of see that a little bit more as he is going to send this probe in a very interesting position to start this one off. And it looks like Clem is going to get a little bit of information. He does want to send that very early SCV just to confirm what's coming his way. So far, not really going to be able to see too much, but he does get to count the pylons in the main base here. He can also see that Haas isn't fully mining off of these two geysers if he's paying full attention. But yeah, he sees the fact that there's only one pylon, and that's going to be a pretty big tell for him that something is on the other side of the map. So he is just going to start searching for it all over the place. We're going to keep this SCV to deny a nexus if it decides to go down. Stargate is right outside his main base, just barely pixels out of view. I think he, again, just has a pretty good idea that it is there. He's not going to be able to really do too much about it right now. He just needs to close the wall up and defend the high ground. And there we go. One shield battery will go down. It might be able to get rid of the shield batteries before the void ray actually starts to pop. So far, this is looking like a good start to a hold from Clem. Zealot and the Adept trying to make their way in, but they're not going to be able to get past these SCVs. And he will get a couple of shield batteries down just out of range of these Marines. But we already have the Cyclones going to be on the way. He's going up to Starport for the Vikings. And I like this, being very aggressive, making sure that he doesn't lose the supply depots, but he will be able to get rid of the ground forces. Focus fire on the Void Ray, but it's now in range, so Clem has to be very careful with how he engages into that. He did lose 3 or 5 Marines total. And that's going to make it a little bit difficult as that second Void Ray does pop. Haas, though, is getting very risky with these couple of Void Rays, fighting way outside of range of those shield batteries. Not really the best situation for him right now, as Clem will have that second Cyclone up by the time this Void Ray meets up with his brother. And yeah, I just don't really know if how much longer Haas is going to be able to keep this up, especially as that shield battery is now out of energy, and you can kind of see the Void Ray is just absolutely melting to the firepower of the Viking and the Cyclone. Haas is not done by any stretch of the imagination. He is only on one base still. The engineering bay does get the finish over here, so he can build missile turrets if he wants to. There's already a Viking. There's already the Cyclone. He's even going to get a medevac here so that he can start fighting with the Marines a little bit more. And Clem is just kind of repairing up as much as humanly possible. Very good map presence right there from Clem, recognizing how far he can kind of go to get rid of that shield battery. So So he can do that again if he wants to. Void Ray is just kind of hanging out, waiting for more, but that's more is getting so much time to Clem here. Even just going to send the Marines down to the bottom in the medevac so that he can kind of get a wraparound here. Yeah, I mean, Haas is still bleeding out a lot of these Void Rays. Clem is going to go for a little bit of a drop of his own, trying to get some counter damage in. Because you can defend this all day, but at the end of it, if Haas is starting, it does get another base up. If he does start to expand out of it, you're still only on one base as Clem. So you definitely need to start getting some counter damage in. Nice little pick off here. Clem getting a little bit too far forward, so Haas is going to take advantage of that. And that will actually supply block Clem for the meantime. One shield battery is going to be coming in. The recall is forced with just one Void Ray. That might be a mistake, as that shield battery definitely going to fall here. Some decent focus fire from Clem. Going to keep these Marines as live for as long as possible, but actually not really getting too much probe damage done, but he does manage to kill off that Void Ray. And now this is where he just becomes a really big nuisance here. The shield battery not going to be able to protect these probes for too much longer. The Void Ray is going to make its way in. Another supply depot falls. But this time I think Clem, again, he's just not really worrying about it. He's got a good defense. He just has to not overextend down that ramp and lose everything. He ends up getting it. The Void Ray is coming in once again, but again they are consistently being deflected over and over, and their numbers really haven't swelled to any sort of threat. We do have magfield accelerators on the way, so that is going to make these Cyclones just absolutely unstoppable versus this. And did that medevac come back in? He did get a nice little pickup here, going for some extra damage. I feel like Haas really just investing way too much in this. If he would have kind of expanded a little bit to get rid of that engineering bay and just kind of expanded out of this, he might be in a much better position than he is right now. But you know what, I digress on that. Kind of like what I said, he wants to end this game quickly. He doesn't care about macro at this point. But there you go, the magfield accelerator just absolutely tearing through that Stargate. One more Void Ray will come out, but that is nowhere near what you need to break through. And now Clem, 57 to 38 in terms of that army supply. I think he's going to be feeling fine just to take this fight. The Stalker going to do what it can, but there's just too much firepower here. And we might be seeing the tap out from Haas relatively soon, as he is down double the supply. Or the other part of that, half the supply. There's still a little bit of energy left in these shield batteries, so that is all he has to go on here. The last big fight, the Vikings are kiting away the Cyclones, raining hellfire here, and that is how the cookie crumbles, as we are going to be moving on to game number 2 with a Clem victory. All right, gas first out of Clem. That's going to allow him to kind of tech up much quicker. It will allow him as well to get kind of that reactor out very early on, so that he can have enough Marines in case Haas does decide to go for any sort of like early push, early pressure, which he has been known to do. So far, so good here. Even gonna just deny the natural, which I do think Haas did want to take, forcing out an extra 100 minerals for that Zealot, just so he can kind of clean that up in record time. Now, Haas could just go for the third base behind this if he really wanted to get that Nexus down. It's not too far away from the natural. You can kind of see there's a couple different options to go for on that third base. But I think he just doesn't really care to get it down right now, as we do see Stalker is going to be the next big move. Back at home, Clem playing it very safe with his own build order. Just going to go straight up to factory without any frills. And this is all before his natural CC, so he's got to be feeling pretty good knowing that Haas doesn't really have his own base up. We should be seeing the cancel here any second. Doesn't actually get to cancel it. Wow, that is 125 minerals down the drain for Clem. But you can already see he is ready. He thinks it's another Void Ray, I believe. As we do have that SCV kind of just finishing up the wall. The placement's not really 100% here for Clem, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, as he's not being rushed as he so wrongly believes. Now bear in mind, it is Stargate once again, so after the Stalker goes on home, he's gonna be joined by what looks to be Phoenix play. So now there is kind of the big window that Haas is looking to hit. He wants to get up to about 5 or 6 Phoenix, so he can kind of dance around, play around, and kind of just get a little bit of harassment damage here and there versus his opponent. And then we want to see that shift into Colossus or Disruptors. That's really just the best way, because your opponent is going to be focusing very heavily on dealing with the Phoenix. He's going to go very Marine heavy, that he's not really going to have enough Marauders to deal with the splash of the Colossus. Yeah, nothing really too big gonna happen here for the next couple of minutes. It's really just kind of that slow build-up from either side. They really do need to kind of just stay back and not necessarily turtle up, but they don't really want to move out on the map. They don't want to be the first one to kind of blink and make a mistake. Now bear in mind, Haas still doesn't have his third base up. It's already at the 5-minute mark, and he has just been expending all of his money into the Phoenix, into his next stage of tech, which, like I said, is going to be either Colossus or Disruptors. Most likely Colossus. Yeah, Clem kind of respecting that. He doesn't have his own third base here at the 5-minute 30 mark. But for Terran players, that's more normal. The biggest question is, what has he really seen here? Looks like he hasn't really been in Haas's base for quite a bit of time, but what he does know is that there is no third on location, and that's going to ring some semblance of an alarm bell for Clem. Alright, getting a little confirmation there that it is going to be a Robo facility play behind this. But he still hasn't seen the Phoenix, I do believe. So Haas doing a really good job of hiding that. But now Clem, with a scan on the army, has to be thinking, that's all you have? Where is the rest of your army? And the big answer to that is absolutely nowhere. It's hanging out in the sky. He's only got the Phoenix to really buffer for these Colossi in the front. But he is still pumping them out. He is still going for quite a high Phoenix count here. And I think that's actually going to do pretty good versus this. He will be able to lift up the siege tanks. He will be able to get quite a few of these Marines. I don't know if Clem really should be moving out here. Although he will whittle down one of those Phoenix to almost nothing. Now Clem is going to keep this attack rolling, but he's got to be very cautious. Raven does go down. The Stalker coming on home will get deflected. The Phoenix taking quite a bit of damage here, but Clem not going to overextend himself. He will back out. The Phoenix going to give chase, but they won't really be able to get too much done, as we do have the Widow Mines going to be coming in for their own little bit of counter damage. So this is where things are going to start heating up, especially as those upgrades for Clem start to kick in. As he has his third base down, he has his fourth and fifth racks coming on in. The Phoenix coming as close as they can. The siege tanks getting lifted. One of them will go down. What mines do per however, so Haas. Oh, mamma mia. 13 workers do go down, so Haas just not able to pay attention to that. That is really big, and another big drop coming into the main base. He will be able to depower that Stargate. The Phoenix can't fight on their own here. Oh my goodness, doesn't get the Forge. Medevacs, a bit of a mistake with them. They are way far away from where they need to be. But now Clem is just kind of rotating between the third and the main. He's got to be careful not to lose this momentum. He needs to keep the pressure up. Otherwise, he is just going to get absolutely wrecked. As Haas is just transitioning into Sky Toss now with Disruptors underneath. I gotta say, Clem, he's got to recognize this. He's got to see it somehow, some way. Because as the carrier count starts to grow, as he gets the mothership core out, oh, it's just so hard to fight with a pure bio army that Clem has. Phoenix getting a little bit too close for comfort. One of them, another one will go down. Disruptors, though, make this a fight that you can't really take. One of them will get a couple of a couple of marauders for their trouble. Clem stimming forward, trying to get to the high ground. Will find one of the disruptors and could have dove on the Colossi, but that would have been a very costly trade. The Wind Mines do come in. They do get crushed. Keep in mind they do not have any upgrades, so they do not burrow quickly enough. These Widow Mines, I swear. Haas just really not paying full attention. Even going to lose quite a few up here. He knew this was coming. Oh, my goodness. 13 workers have gone down, but let's take a look at the units lost tab. Over 35 have perished in this game. The Phoenix going to get 8 for their trouble, but those are really the first SCVs that have passed away. I don't know what that was, but it's going to head up to this surface. Alright, finding a little kill here as things kind of slowed down. Clem really recognizing that if he is to take this fight, he's gonna have to have quite a magnificent army with him, and albeit he does have quite a few good units here with the ghosts, with the cyclones still alive in the backfield, although it hasn't really gotten any kills. Looks like the Phoenix will be able to make their way in to that third base, or fourth base rather. And Clem is going to be dividing up his forces. Makes it a little bit scarier to engage in here, as that is a huge force of invisible Colossi. There you have it. Clem is just getting ready for the 1-2 punch. EMP going to blanket the photon cannons, but that's not going to matter. As the Vikings try to shell away at the Phoenix in the sky, the main effort making its way into the natural. We'll actually find one of these carriers. A good focus fire down should be able to kill that off. Maybe the second one will fall as well. Scan gonna go down just to see if he can dive into the fourth. But not really finding his angle here. The medevacs will fall. Gotta say, that's pretty gas expensive right now, especially since you're going to be trying to be utilizing a lot of very expensive gas units, such as these Vikings, such as the Ghosts. So you definitely don't want to be remaking the medevacs at this point. Couple of good focus fires here from the Vikings. Haas trying to engage over it, but that does mean that all these disruptors aren't really useful in the fight. A time warp gonna go down, catches the Vikings from going a little bit too far forward, but at the end of the day, there's just nothing really in the sky to stop these Vikings. Getting rid of the Colossus as well. So all Clem has to really worry about is the carriers in the sky and the disruptors on the ground. And I mean, this is melting here for Haas, but unfortunately Clem doesn't have a lot of Marines, so he will have to back out. He will have to retreat for now, giving Haas time to rebuild. A little bit more calm as the storm is getting ready to rage on again. Do you see upgrades all over the place as Haas is just moving further and further forward, getting this, gotta admit, I didn't even know that was a base. Certainly does want to take the gas geysers. That's going to be super important for him as he builds up. Even going to get more Phoenix to deal with the Vikings in the sky. Clem just kind of rotating around with a couple of units as well, just looking for little angles where he can get in there and just do little bits of damage here and there. At this point, you're not really going to be able to take a straight up fight anymore. So you just kind of have to whittle your opponent down slowly but surely. That's getting harder and harder to do. With the shield batteries getting closer and closer to his own expansions. Now saving grace from Clem right now is that he does have a small bank kind of building up. EMP gonna blanket the Phoenix. But yeah, these Vikings just doing what they can. They will focus fire down these Phoenix, and that is pretty expensive for Haas to rebuild. The carriers, though, in the sky, going to do what they can. The disruptor shots, some are okay. But at the end of it, these carriers are just really difficult to deal with here. Clem making 7 Vikings at a time just to keep up. And he's slowly but surely getting pushed back. Yeah, look at that. Just 1,000 mineral difference. But here we go once again. Clem just going to focus fire down a couple of those carriers. The Phoenix in the front doing a beautiful job of buffering for Haas. I mean, I don't hate the fact that he's remaking the Phoenix. I just think that maybe that gas would be useful somewhere else. That's just me, though. Maybe going up to carriers, because those Phoenix aren't really going to be too useful in the sky with the EMPs off the ghosts. Clem, though, not able to engage into this as the disruptor is pushing him back into the missile turret wall. Shield battery overcharge is popped very, very early here, so it's not really going to be useful during the main fight. We do see the fusion core going to be going down, so the transition into battle cruisers can go underway. Battle cruisers are the natural enemies of the carriers. Vikings doing what they can, but these are upgraded Phoenix. They don't take flak from anybody. Although Haas has to be careful. He can't really afford to continuously remake those interceptors. Phoenix coming on home as well to deflect this. Haas, I mean, he's just doing fantastic work here. Cleaning up the Terran player who is trying to push his way forward. But at every turn, even though he is getting some good pickoffs, he's just not really staying cost efficient. Granted, he is ahead in terms of that supply. But the Sky Army, he's just not really getting to the meat of it because of those disruptors on the ground. There we go. Now he does have enough Vikings to one-shot the carriers. But there's so many interceptors in the sky. Both sides are still a bit broke. As we can kind of take a look at the income tab here, it is in Clem's favor. It has been for a while because of those mules. And he is up 20 supply, but oh no. Losing so many ghosts right there. Yeah, I just don't know. Clem has to play this very slowly, very methodically if he is going to push in. Vikings in the sky trying to fight what they can. Wasting quite a few shots as well, trying to get rid of these Phoenix. But he will be able to clean up some of these carriers. And Haas, he doesn't really have too much left here. As those carriers start to fall, the disruptors on the ground can be dived upon. Phoenix still doing what they can, but they have no energy to deal with the ground army, so they will be basically flying paperweights in the sky. The Tempest count, though, is rising quite heavily. If only he had upgrades for them. Only on +3 attack. I would love to see him get some of those air armor upgrades to deal with the Vikings' whittling fire. Clem trying to force the fight over this dead air. Vikings will be able to focus fire down what they can. And yeah, I think he barely has enough to whittle this down once he gets the reinforcements in. Of the 9 Vikings that he's making at a time, I think that will be enough, as Haas has plummeted in terms of that army size. But it's still anyone's game here. One bad fight, and all that momentum is gone. The Vikings, however, just making their way into the sky, and GG is called. Clem will be going up to match point. Regardless of what you think, that is a very early probe scout. Kind of interested to see why he decided to bring it out this early. I think we might be seeing a little bit of crazy shenanigans going to be going on, just because I think after a bit he's going to hide this guy probably about down here or up here maybe, and I think he's going to go for something very aggressive. Haas is blocked in on his one base now, forced to make a zealot to clean that engineering bay up. We do see Clem playing it very safe on his own, just building the factory very, very quickly in order to stay safe versus any sort of rush play from Haas. I love that, just barely towing the line on building it there. But this does open up a problem here for Haas. The fact that he doesn't have that Nexus down in any stretch of time does mean that he is going to be heavily delayed in terms of his economy. So the fact that he is going up to Robo Facility and Gateway, this is a more reactionary, hey, I'm already behind, I'm just going to try and kill you with an all-in. Immortals coming on out. After that, we should expect the War Prism, and that is going to be the catalyst for him to go. Clem is trying to move out on the map. He's got a small squad of Marines and that Cyclone, which, by the way, will take quite a bit of damage here. Now, I'm guessing that after seeing that amount of Stalkers, he recognizes that something is up. He probably thinks that it's just a blink timing, though. First Immortal. Prism. Oh, this is about to get really good or really bad. Already, though, Clem getting a lot of damage done on that first Stalker. Now the armies are going to be passing like 2 ships in the night. We might have a base trade situation, but I think Haas should recall here and just keep the Terran away. The sentry does go down, so that is 100 gas out of the equation here. Hot pick up by Haas. Very nice, and he will be able to clean up a lot of these Marines from escaping. The bunker not finished here from Clem, so Clem did cut a little bit of corners in order to go up to his next stage. But here we go. 1 siege tank will be ready on the high ground very, very soon. The Cyclones, though, gonna get right on top of the Immortal. Haas has to pick that up. Oh my goodness, this is looking like absolute carnage. As the SCVs are pulled to do what they can here, but they are helpless versus the tide of ire. And now he's going to get right on top of the production. Stim about 10 seconds from completing. The SCVs are pulled for one last huzzah. The siege tank has popped out, and the Stalkers are starting to take quite a bit of damage. Stim did finish up during all of it. A huge shot from that siege tank. That's actually going to take a lot of wind out of Haas's sail. Yeah, and remember, Haas is still only on 1 base, so while he has done all of this damage, Clem has mules available to him. He has 2 bases, so he's going to be remaking those SCVs very, very quickly. Oh my goodness, I think Clem has held, and I think he's almost done it. Yeah, even losing the Immortal is the biggest of deals, because it's just these 4 Stalkers. Viking gonna shoo the Prism away, so that's not gonna be able to make its way in anytime soon. And now Clem is just building up an army. Do you see a couple of Adepts warped in just to try and attack from multiple fronts? He's got to keep Clem busy while he builds up. He's got his own Nexus on the way, but that is so far behind. The Adepts gonna make their way in. Keep him. Remember, the wall is not down. Clem doing a really good job of pulling away so he doesn't take too much siege tank fire. The Adepts absolutely massacred, and with the Prism going down, Clem takes the 3-0 sweep. He moves on to the finals